Needing to own a car increased car accidents up to its peak in 2022 of 56,000 deaths per year from car accidents. This had been on the decline as of 2005 as we had tackled drunk driving, but texting and driving increased it further. This is over 15 9/11 attacks yearly, and people are just okay with it and view it as a required sacrifice to the traffic gods to move around. We freaked out at 9/11, beefing up pointless security theater on planes, losing a ton of our rights, but passive systemic deaths are much less feared and garner less outrage as a planned attack by foreigners. Because of this, people now see driving as a form of warfare, so they get bigger and bigger vehicles. In the 1970s, cars reached a massive size as big as a whale, as the B-52s put it, as they were more luxurious. After the oil crisis, their sizes were limited and forced to shrink, but SUV and trucks were exempt. This caused them to scale up drastically, first as a status symbol, and then after that as protection on the road in a terrible arms race. Driver deaths have dropped, but pedestrian deaths have now skyrocketed. When someone gets hit by a car, there is little distance between the bottom of the car and the ground. They are most likely to fly up onto the hood. This drastically increases chances of surviving. With a truck or SUV, when a pedestrian gets hit, they are more likely to be dragged under. At 40 miles per hour, you have a 40% chance of surviving being hit by a car. With a truck or SUV, that chance drops to less than 5%. There is a reason why city streets are usually set to 25 miles an hour. For smaller cars, it's a fairly safe speed for pedestrians, with ample stopping time. But as cars got bigger and bigger, that speed stopped being sufficient at all, and for many vehicles, 20 to even 15 miles per hour is the only safe speeds, which is why school zones are set so low. Cities are more and more resorting to traffic calming measures under a project called Vision Zero in an attempt to reduce pedestrian deaths to zero, which has led to widespread outrage and vilification by car companies, their mouthpieces, and entitled drivers. Pedestrians must be sacrificed so I can go faster in my massive truck that wouldn't need to be as big if we all went a little slower. Even worse, all of the vehicles produce toxins, not even including greenhouse gases. That causes 1.34 deaths more than traffic fatalities just from the air pollution it causes, and 2.2 deaths as traffic fatalities from inactivity, which is why obesity and inactivity are not only biological and psychological, but also societal issues, and considered a wicked problem or hyper-complex problem that doesn't just come down to laziness or gluttony, as so many who don't struggle with it frame it as such. So take that 46,000 number and then multiply that by 4.5 and you have somewhere around 200,000 deaths per year. Not to mention all the hospital bills, often people who don't die and just get sick, that are dumped onto you and the rest of the public that live this dream of the freedom of driving a car. Literally every single ailment the anti-vax people blame on vaccines have been 100% proven to be caused or made worse by air pollution. But people would rather believe it's something they personally do, aside from driving, than a massive systemic issue they feel they benefit from. This includes allergies, Alzheimer's and asthma, depression, anxiety, and all sorts of psychological disorders are made worse by air pollution, including, you guessed it, autism, which is so exacerbated in polluted areas, partially due to brain inflammation and the fact that it messes with the stomach bacteria. People freak out about microplastics these days, but 78% of all microplastics in the ocean come from tire wear. All of the noise pollution of rolling tires on the streets, and you have a mental health crisis, and everyone on antidepressants because they now have to use it to survive. At higher speeds, tire noises produce more sounds than engines, meaning EVs also contribute to the noise pollution the faster they go. All of this would be drastically reduced if replaced by even diesel buses and electric trains and bikes over the car. However, that would bankrupt the car industry and fossil fuel companies, so they keep saying the EVs are the best solution. And while they're 10 times better for the environment and greenhouse emissions than their internal combustion counterparts, they are still not even close to sustainable and pollution-free if everyone is going to own one. The point of a road is to move cars, the point of public transit is to move people, and one bus can carry 30 to 100 to even 300 in some foreign countries faster, safer, and cheaper if run properly and not starved for funds in favor of the Soviet-style planned economy model that is locked into our highway design. Lastly, we come to commuting. Commuting is expensive in every single way possible, from roads, electric, sewer, commuter distance, time, pollution, and environmental destruction are all made that much more expensive to the taxpayer for every single square foot you own inside a metro area. 71% of the top 75 largest US cities are deep in debt and don't have enough money to pay for their bills, especially for things like sewer repair or any kind of emergency expense. Much of this is caused by suburbs that were built under the assumption that their value and therefore taxes would rise. However, because the tax density is so small in the suburbs, that did not happen, and in 3 generations, many suburbs maintenance, which was hand-waved during the construction, became completely unsustainable. This is why Strong Towns refers to the suburbs as a Ponzi scheme that future generations are now left holding the bag. Some suburbs that aren't subsidized from the city are taking drastic measures of tearing up their streets and replacing them with gravel because they just can't afford to maintain the streets. This wasteful land use created scarcity around the cities, which allowed homes to become commodities, and prices for everyone skyrocketed. However, if people can't afford to live in them, say during a downturn, and pay these higher taxes, then the infrastructure maintenance can't be sustained. Add to it that where mixed-use or multifamily homes aren't allowed to be built, a housing crisis jacks up all the prices, including land around the city edge, making the land no longer affordable for farmers, moving their activities further and further away from the cities, boosting transit costs, and reducing local food freshness and nutrition that much. So what do we do about this? How do we fix this? We will discuss that in the next section. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you wish to be a part of this project, or want your Solarpunk art displayed discussing any of our main points of focus, please send everything to solarpunkusa@proton.me. There is also a Patreon link for my main channel if you like what I'm doing. For the first section involving community building, this channel will be run directly by myself. After that point, I hope to make this a collaborative project with many people involved, including voice, information, and editing, to make this a robust channel that can spread and grow.